the second leg of the Milan derby is here, and it once again it's here, and once again it's in the San Siro. And for Marco, I'm sure once again he'll be hoping for an Inter win. Marco, you said that it might turn out to be a draw. You said that it might maybe turn out to be a sneaky Inter win as an Inter fan. But how do you see them going into the second leg and with top four almost all but secured? What are your thoughts on the UCL this time around for Inter?
Well, hi everybody, and yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy that match. You saw like in 12 minutes everything changed, but then second half it didn't look like any of the two teams was actually winning. So the match is open on Italian newspaper. There's been a lot of talking about how Inter could have and should have scored a third goal, and that would have
Hmm.
really changed everything. So everyone here is saying that Milan has a chance to actually upset the match. I think for us it will be important as an Inter supporter. It will be important to score one goal, and they will make it really tough for Milan to score three goals or more.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
Karan bhai, I'll come to you on this. What do you think, with Inter doing so well in the first leg, players like Lautaro, although he didn't score, they were pretty influential, and Inter almost got the third goal with the penalty, which was, overruled by VAR. So, do you think that AC Milan has any chance of, staging a comeback, or do you think it's Inter who are going to run out as the winners again?
I think.
Um, yeah, sorry.
Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. What do you think, Marco? Like, you're an Inter fan, so I just need an insight because I'm gonna give some data insights from the last leg. So you can just share your experience first.
Shoot
Yeah,
away,
it's
Marco.
it's possible. It's possible that Milan will come back. I think the first half an hour will be very important, and from there we will see. Sorry, Karan, go on.
Sorry, no, as he mentioned, Anukarsh was mentioning that players like Martinez and all. So, Barcelona just won La Liga, okay? And when I was, on talks with the other people on the stats and, finding the right guy who was making difference, it comes down to defenders. Being a center back myself, all my life, I can just say that they are highly underrated. For example, if you see the Barcelona season, maybe the standout player statistically was, I think, Kunde was a little bit, off, but Balde was, I think, a perfect example of, what can a defender do, Balde. And if I go to SofaScore right now and see the guy who actually made the difference for, because Milan, I mean, did attack. It's not that they were sitting quiet. And the second half, we saw a lot of attacks coming from the left, right flank. So Inter was kind of getting threatened from their left flank. And there is one guy who hold the bastoni. And frankly, if you compare it with the other center half, or, I mean, the defender over there, the center back, Jair, if I just give you a little glimpse of the data, if just compare head on head, okay? So there were like, Bastoni had like, you can say ground duels. Three out of six ground duels was won. Here, Jair didn't even attempt any ground duels. Aerial duels, one for Jair and two for Bastoni. But then, if you see the touches and the kind of passing accuracy, then yeah, I mean, Bastoni had a greater control in terms of even distributing long balls. So
Hmm.
Bastoni kind of distributed 15 long balls, and out of which 10 were was like accurate, compared to Jair, who had like three long balls that was passed. So they were actually building from the back, and it just showed and reflected. And even in terms of the clearances, Bastoni had three clearances, and Jair had only one, and tackles, and I mean, one tackle for Bastoni and zero for Jair. And same goes for Acerbi. Acerbi was top notch. So if you think the Mkhitaryan and Cholanolu and Zeko and Martinez were on the game, it's somewhere behind those. There was an Italian defense at its best work, I can see.
Right, right. Bastoni, no wonder, is being chased by the top teams in Europe with how impressive he has been this season. Marco, you talked about the first half an hour being important, and Karan bhai here, he has been doing a great job for us at the Indie Football Podcast, also doing a data segment every week or every other week. And statistically, Inter have been the better team this season in a lot of ways. And if you look on paper also from a neutral point of view, they look so much better. But then Milan have got players who can who can really change things in the blink of an eye. So honestly, like going forward, do you think that Milan's attack can actually answer anything in terms of competing against Inter's defense? Because honestly, like so far they haven't been able to break the deadlock. But players like Giroud being there, and can they be the big match players, or do you think Inter will again, be able to seize the moment?
Yes, I agree with you. I agree that Milan has a lot of good players that can, with just a few seconds change it completely. I agree with what Karan said. Of course, I mean numbers are numbers and they're important. There is an extra factor for me. It's a derby and it's a semi-final of Champions League. So Milan, AC Milan right now today they have nothing to lose. They already lost. They play light. They play. They need to score. They're gonna attack. They might even sort of have some fun doing it because they don't need to worry about that too much. While Inter players are worried. They don't want to make a mistake. For Inter, the ball will be heavier. And so it will be more possible to make some mistakes. But I've read and I've listened to some interviews from Inter players. They seem very concentrated. They seem very on it. Today is even Moratti's birthday. He's the former president of Inter and is still a very important figure over here. So I think that they have quite a few reasons to be determined today. And Inzaghi has proven to be really good at motivation in this sort of kick-out phases.
Right, right, right. Two players I would like to talk about, Mkhitaryan and Zeko. They both scored, and like I think they are aging like fine wine in that Inter team. Karan bhai, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think the veterans can actually do the trick for them once again?
I think yes, because as I can see again the numbers as well as gameplay, Mkhitaryan was kindly like kind of controlling the area that he was assigned in terms of there's a center midfield, and he was like distributing ball pretty well actually,
Mhm.
and he was like on the verge of, I think he shot another one, but which was I think saved or something. He had a good shot on target, another one as well. So he was like on a bang on, on that game. So it comes to the characters that comes to life when the occasion demands. It's something that is there in those players when the night comes, and you'll see those veterans coming to their best display. And that's the reason why I would just agree with what Marco said, that if today it has to be anyone who has an edge in terms of not losing anything, you'll see the characters like Giroud, for example, or even someone like Benasher, or Cellmakers. I mean,
Huh.
Cellmakers is like doing pretty decent job, in midfield, and his numbers were good like last game as well. So those people would come into play tonight, and they'll have a big role to define what the AC Milan can actually do. And it's just a knockout now. It's just like they have to go 2 goals ahead. There is nowhere they're going to sit back and anticipate. There's no time for that.
Marco, as someone who has watched the game very closely in Italy, how much do you think like know how good Inzaghi was, in his playing days? Like I remember this poster. I think I mentioned this before also in the 2005 UCL final when Liverpool were able to beat AC Milan. 2 years after that, I remember it gave me childhood trauma. Inzaghi scored twice. Now, as a manager, people say a lot of good things about him. People say that he has really transformed. You talked about the motivation he provides. Do you think that the legacy that say Sir Alex Ferguson has created at United, you think Inzaghi could have with time create that sort of a legacy in his managerial career? Do you see that potential?
Well, I think he's had a bad season overall this year, meaning Inter was supposed to fight for the championship, and we didn't. We just didn't. We failed on that quite badly, honestly. Uh, I think we lost the possibility. Arithmetically, we lost the possibility to win the championship 4 or 5 matches ago, and that's way too much. It's a very particular year with the World Cup in the middle of the season. I think that is affecting a lot of players with injuries, and
Hmm.
I mean,
I agree.
we didn't have Brozovic and Lukaku for so long, for over 5 months, and that would affect any team, honestly, may it be Barcelona or Real Madrid. Um, I think that he will be evaluated year by year. Champions League right now is saving him. The path that we had, I think he did a very good job in the group stage. I mean, with Barcelona and Bayern Munich, we managed to pass, and obviously they're about to win their own championship. So we were good there, very good. We got lucky in the knockout phase with Porto and Benfica. Uh, but if you go to final, you deserve a new year. And but then in Italy, and especially in Milan, it works very much like you are evaluated year by year. And maybe only Mourinho can can hope to have like a sanctity status, but everyone else is judged year by year, and if you fail, you're just out.
Anukash, there was another video I shared to Marco the other day that AC Milan was like kind of having even the coach and the players who were, speaking to ultras on the stadium. Like there are like, and Marco told me that the ultra fans is something is kind of a thing in Italy. Marco, do you want to just say something about it, because I was not aware of it? So maybe some of our audiences might not be knowing this as well. So
Yeah,
what?
well, for us, they have quite a power, even though they don't have any ownership over the club or anything. But they just have quite a weight. It's one of these illusional thing for which there is no particular practical reason for which they, yeah, they fill up the stadium, but the stadium will be full anyways. But yeah, there have been cases in the past in which maybe. A team wanted to buy a player, or like I told Karan a few years back, AC Milan was about to sell Thiago Silva, and the fans, they just went under the hotel where the former AD of AC Milan was sleeping, and they were protesting all night, and then they had to call it off, and they lost money in that because they just ended up selling him, but for less a few months later, and. Or other times, there have been football players who have a bad reputation, and if maybe any club was thinking about buying this player, they would protest against that, and that's quite heavy, especially in Milan and Turin with Juventus. These teams, they have quite a very strong ultras fringe, and it's not easy to deal with them. They're quite they're not very prone to talking. They're more like
Because there was
into
a video,
screaming.
yeah, I saw there was a video where everyone from players and even the managers like folded their hands facing the crowd, and the crowd was like kind of instructing them, and they were just like heads down and listening and nodding. That
Yes.
was a that I haven't seen something like that in a long time. I mean, forget about anyone in the English or the Spanish league would do that, but it's culturally rooted, as Marco rightly said. So yeah, I think maybe that kind of beating would change AC Milan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they really went bad in Serie A in the in between match. They played against La Spezia in the away game, and they lost 2-0, and they're really risking to be out of Champions League next year. Everything is a bit on hold because Juventus will have most possibly some penalization points. So they will. I think their goal from the judge point of view will be to keep Juventus out of Champions League. So they will see how many points to remove to give them sort of a financial crash, not just like, oh, okay, I have a penalty. So Milan still has chances, but Roma and Lazio are there, and it's a tough one. And they may even go to final this year, but if you don't qualify for Champions League next year, it's a big problem. I feel like, especially in Europe, right now, it's national championships are about qualifying to Champions League. That will change
Right,
which players you can have because you have more or less money.
right.
Marco, considering that the team, whichever team, I mean, may the best team win, qualifies from this match, and let's just say they end up winning the UCL. So, how important do you think it will be for Italian football, considering we haven't seen a lot of Italian teams win recently in Europe when it comes to the Champions League? Like, of course, Roma won the Conference League last year. So, how important do you think it's going to be for Italian football? And like, if a Milan team, a team from Milan, say Inter or AC, actually wins the Champions League, do you think it would be a statement of intent that Italian football is officially back?
Um, well, it's a tough question. I mean, as a club level, yes, it's important. We need it for our movement, that's for sure. But when you look at how many Italian national team players are playing tonight, it's a very short list. And also from the other teams. I mean, Roma, maybe Fiorentina is a bit more, and Juventus has an history with Italian players. But still, I mean, it's we have lots of French and Spanish and South American players, and so for the Italian movement, it's 50-50. It's important. It creates attention. It creates passion in kids, so that they will play more. But not many players are playing tonight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you see,
Uh,
what do you think kind of a game strategy you think that Inter will have, considering they have a lead? Will they kind of attack again, thinking that attack is the best form of defense, or will just like hold back and see for like a quarter of an hour to see how Milan is kind of acting and gauging their intent?
I think Milan will play everything. They have all their energies in the first half, and Inter knows it. So we need to hold back and punish them if it's possible. So counter-attacking, and it's going to be a very Italian Inter tonight.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, very step back, hold,
Everyone
anticipate.
behind the ball and then throw it long and run. I think it's going to be something like that. But
They against,
if yes,
do you think they'll again start with a back three or back four? What do you think?
Inter.
Yeah,
Back three, 100%.
three.
Yeah, Inzaghi is not changing now. He trusts his style, and it's been proven right. So it will be back three: Darmian, Cerbi, and Bastoni. Three
oh,
Italians, and only Bastoni is inside the national circle. Acerbi is a bit too old, and Darmian too. Unfortunately, I think they're good players, but I mean there is good competition there. There will be Leao back into AC Milan,
right.
so that will be a bit tough to control him, because he will have big intentions. But we'll see. We are more mature than them. We are older as a average age, and so we're supposed to be more. No, Inzaghi said this. We have European Cup championships winner. We have World Cup championship winners. We have really experienced players, and that plays a big role, I think, in a night like tonight.
All right.
Fair enough. Well, Marco has been telling, I would like to tell our viewers, Marco has been telling us about the weather in Italy. He says it's very cold there. But the UCL tie, it's going to be a really encounter full of heat. It's going to be an encounter which is going to be a hot prospect because of two teams that are going to give their absolute best. Karan bhai, I'll come to you. What are your predictions, and who do you see finally going through this round?
I'll just let Marco predict today.
um, I would go. Honestly, I think it'll be something like a choo-choo. Lots of goals, lots of activity. I don't know if it will be, like who will score first, or how is it going to, move the game. But I think Inter will manage it, and will punish AC Milan, which will be very unbalanced.
You have a rain tonight? You anticipate a rain in San Siro or like Milan in general?
I'm not sure. I have to check. I'm not in Milan right now. I'll tell you in a second. Tell me your prediction meanwhile.
I think if it's a slippery slope ground, then probably I'll see a lot of defensive, things going bad for Inter. And if that's the case, if it's a wet ground, then I see Milan heading for a 2-0 lead in the halftime, and then Inter fighting for the one goal back, kind of.
It's dry. It's dry. It's gonna be dry.
It's gonna be dry. So it's 1-1.
Marco says it's gonna be raining goals. It's going to be 2-all draw. Karan says it's maybe going to be 1-all draw, or maybe
Yeah.
AC Milan are gonna go 2-up. I feel personally that maybe Inter are gonna edge once again by a score of 1-0. But whoever I have no idea. None of us actually has, because whatever happens in a football match, unfortunately, you cannot predict unless you come from the future. So it is what it is. On that note, thank you, Marco, and thank you, Karan, for joining us. Thanks for always being
I
so
have one,
lovely.
one, one question, Anukarsh, for you and Marco. I mean, just the last question. If Inter
Yes.
goes through from here, and just supposedly if City is in the finals, would you think guys, can kind of lift up the trophy if City goes in the final with Inter?
Marco, you can, I think, answer this first, then I'll.
I think with City we do have a chance. With Real Madrid, I would say less of a chance
True.
because Ancelotti is a good fox. But with City, they struggle and they play a very particular football, and everything needs to be perfect with them. Um, Please go with your answer. Then I would like to say one more thing.
Although Karan Bhai is the main guy behind data on our show, but I think every sort of data does support, City actually bottling it in the final, and Real having a fair chance when it comes to the UCL. But yeah, of course, like I think if it is going to be an Inter versus Man City tie, I see Inter Milan actually winning it, honestly.
Yeah,
Wow.
same. Yeah, same here. What were you supposed to say, Marco? You're saying something.
Yeah, so it's not only Moratti's, our former president, birthday today, is also the day when we won the Serie A of the triplete, when we won the three Champions
Yeah.
League. And that reminds me of that year when 2010, and we won the first leg of semifinal against Barcelona 3-1, and then we went to Barcelona. And it's similar, 3-1, 2-0, and we lost 1-0, but it was the best loss I ever had, like it was the sweetest one. So it was a famous match. Mourinho said it before the match. He said, I hope we lose 1-0. It will be the best thing. And it was just the
So
greatest.
you can expect 1-0 loss today. No
That
problem.
would be great. That would be the second best win.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's see.
Uh, Okay, thank you guys. That's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.
And we are all excited for the match. So I hope it turns out to be the mouth-watering clash we are predicting it to be. Thank you once again, Marco and Karan, for joining in. And that's
Thank you.
it, guys, from the Indie Football Podcast. Please subscribe, share, and do check out all our segments, all our episodes. We have lots of interesting content coming in. So yeah, don't forget to click the bell icon. And we hope that we can keep providing you great content like this. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.